Hello again, guys. I'm back with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first crazy one about OP's mother and brother refusing to attend OP's wedding because OP wants her father to walk her down the aisle. Well, OP's father did a horrible thing, and in my opinion, doesn't deserve forgiveness from his family. I think some things just can't be forgiven in life. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. 16 years ago, my 32 female brother, 38 male, was engaged to his long-term girlfriend and fiance, 38 female. A few weeks before the wedding, she called things off, admitted she was cheating and pregnant with my 57 male father's child. Paternity test was done after the birth, and that they are running away together. This was a shock to everyone, especially my mom, 56, who was still married to my dad at the time, and brother, who had just been left by his fiance for another man. My parents divorced, and my brother and mom never spoke to my dad again. I was still little, and my dad wanted to share custody of me. He asked me first if I still wanted to see him, and apologized for everything that happened. I agreed to visiting him. My mom didn't like this, and wanted me to cut him off completely. I refused this, and I had a strained relationship with my mom and brother for a while, but they soon let it go. I've remained close with my dad over the years, and his now wife, who is my brother's ex-cheating fiance, and their children, 15 female, 11 male, and 10 male. My mom and brother still hate him, and my mom's side of the family still hate him, and have never spoken to him since. The problem now is that I'm getting married to my fiance, 37 male. We've been together for 8 years, and have a child together, 4 male. He gets along great with my dad, and we both want him to walk me down the aisle. The issue now is that my mom and brother hate my dad, and they refuse to attend my wedding if he walks me down the aisle. Am I an a-hole for wanting my father to walk me down the aisle? Wow, just wow, guys. I think OP is a huge a-hole and enabler. It's horrible what his father did to his whole family. What can be worse? I understand OP was a child when this happened, but now she's a grown-up woman and should know better what's wrong and what's right. I wonder how forgiving would OP be if her fiance had an affair with her mom and left her. I think OP is lucky her brother and mom still want a relationship with her. What OP's dad did was vile and unforgivable. OP is basically giving him the golden seal of approval. Let's see if the community agrees with me. Blade 982 says, expect your brother and mother not to attend your wedding and make peace with that. Some things are unforgivable, and it doesn't matter how long ago they occurred. Yes, it's your wedding, and yes, it's important for you that they all be there, but it's also unrealistic. Nobody should have to set themselves on fire to keep someone else warm. And that's essentially what you're asking your mother and your brother to do, especially your brother. Jesse Uberala says, you sound like an enabler, not a good look. Imagine your mother ducking your fiance a week before the exact wedding you're talking about, and then them disappearing and starting a family. Maybe that will help you put it into perspective. Don't expect them to come if you have him walk you down the aisle. Anisi Pluto says, if you make it to a point to have your dad walk you down the aisle, you need to accept your mom's side of the family won't go to your wedding. I suspect not only your mother and brother, but also their family members. Accept that. This is a case when you can't have both. Imagine your future husband runs away with your mother, and they have children together. Would you be as dismissive and forgiving as you want your mother and brother to be? Would you want to go to family events with them? You were a child then, so everything had a different dimension for you. The fact that you think saying you're sorry is enough honestly baffles me. That you would want to put your family in such an awkward position is beyond me, and that your father would accept. He ruined his family, put his needs in front of his own son, with no regard for his marriage. I'm sorry for your mom and brother, but I'm sure they'd rather not go to your wedding, and possibly they will push you away considering your priorities. When I was a kid, my mom was obsessed with putting me on TV. I was in a good amount of commercials and advertisements, which luckily secured me a good amount of money my parents stored away somewhere, as I was way too young to manage it. Growing up, I stopped doing all those things because I never enjoyed it, and I only really did it to please my parents. I was glad that part of my life was over. A couple years after I stopped doing it, my parents had gotten divorced and kept half of my commercial money away. My dad had it invested, and my mom just kept it safe somewhere. When I had gotten older, I'd eventually forgotten about the money my parents both kept until my dad recently brought it up. He had asked me if I wanted to keep the money in the investments or withdraw them. I asked to keep it in the investments. However, knowing that my mom had done nothing with it, I ended up asking if I could have the money, as I'm old enough to now. For reference, both my parents had split $100,000 each. She ended up telling me that my dad had taken all the money, and she had none. Knowing this wasn't true, I pressed her to tell me the truth about what happened to it. She ended up confessing that she spent it all and refused to give me any of the money I worked for. Furious, I hung up the phone and out of frustration rang my dad and asked for his advice. He told me I should file a lawsuit against my mom and take what's rightfully mine. I haven't spoken to my mom since and am sitting on this decision on whether to take legal actions or just let it go. I know something like this would affect our relationship, but at the same time, it's not a small amount of money. I'm leaning more towards taking legal actions, but I'm still unsure. I don't think OP is an a-hole. Also, I think it would be hard, probably significantly worse in OP's relationship, and OP might not actually get any money out of it. It comes down to what OP's end goal is. She totally used OP and stole from him, but I don't know that there's any good to come of it. I would consider going no contact. No fun way forward. Let's see what the community has to say. Flomo Joe Blow says, "Go for it. Your mother played a stupid game and is about to win a stupid prize. Don't know where you're at, but there is a law called the Jackie Coogan Law, stating that a certain percentage of a child actor's earnings are to be placed in a trust account until they are 18. The California Child Actors Bill, also called the Coogan Law, is a child protection law requiring that a percentage of a child actor's earnings are placed into a trust that they'll be able to access once they turn 18. This also applies to children who model and do voice work. The law is named after former child actor Jackie Coogan. In the 1920s, Coogan became one of the first child stars in America and earned millions of dollars. When he became an adult, he discovered his parents had spent most of his money. Coogan battled his mother in court and was able to recover a small portion of his earnings, and the legal battle resulted in the 1939 enactment of the California Child Actors Bill. Among requirements for schooling and limited working hours, the bill requires that a child actor's employer set aside 15% of the actor's earnings in a trust. Spicy Hooligan says, "Not the a-hole. She was wrong to spend your savings. I'd sue her. Make sure that all communication with her is via email or text, so it's all recorded. No phone calls or in-person convos regarding this." 3 years ago, I, 27 female, finally worked up the strength to leave, to put it lightly, a really bad marriage to a not-so-nice man, 48 male, whom I share 2 children, 7 female, 5 male. My brother, 30 male, offered to let me stay with him and his wife, 30 female, who was pregnant at the time for a few months while everything was getting sorted. Divorce, custody. At first I was going to stay with my parents, but sister-in-law insisted I'd come see them, so my kids could treat it like a holiday, due to them living a 2-minute walk from the beach. Everything was going great for a week. I paid my way and helped around the house till one day I came back from the beach to all our stuff outside with my brother red-faced in anger. Confused, I asked what's wrong. He told me that his wife told him everything that I've been calling her, ugly, fat, saying when she'd make herself food, I mocked her, which caused her to stop eating. I said after everything I've been through, I would never do that to someone else, and asked to speak to my sister-in-law, who was peeking out the door. My brother screamed at me, telling me to leave before he'd call my ex. So I did, and went to live with my parents. He tried turning my family against me, but no one believed it because I'm not that type of person. They were mad at him though, which caused him to go low contact for a few months. But long story short, she accused multiple people of saying cruel, which even cost her job and a lot of friends. Turns out she's had an ED and bipolar disorder, which pregnancy made it worse. He has made up with our parents and acts like since she has a mental health issue, we should just forgive her. I've made it very clear I don't forgive either of them, and anytime they've tried to talk it out, I told them to duck off. It's caused my sister-in-law to feel uncomfortable and unwelcome in the family. The other day I stopped by my parents' house to collect something, and they were there. Sister-in-law looked upset. Apparently she's pregnant again, so she's again struggling with her mental health. The minute she sees me, she comes up crying and apologizing for the 100th time. I roll my eyes, then tell her I honestly couldn't give a crap, leave me alone. Before walking out, my brother tells me that I'm doing to her mentally what my husband did to me, and I've turned into a monster. Well, in my opinion, mental health is an explanation, not an excuse. If sister-in-law and brother use the explanation of mental health as a way of making apologies and getting better, they should make an effort and show positive results. With an attitude, they will continue to make positive changes. However, Sister-in-law and brother are doing none of the above and using mental health as an excuse, which in my opinion is unexcusable. Mental health does not justify hurting or mistreating other people. Let's see what the community's opinion on the matter is. Stoat King says, if I've understood this correctly, that sister-in-law's mental health issues cause her to accuse you of random nonsense, and your brother treats it as though these accusations are real, then not the a-hole. Like 0% the a-hole. Her mental health is in no way your responsibility. Not only is this extremely toxic, but she is going to seriously duck her own life up if she continues doing this. Your brother won't be quite so happy when he becomes the target. It is tempting to argue that your brother is an idiot, but it seems likely that he just doesn't know what to do. Mbop says, not the a-hole. I gasped when your brother said he'd call your ex. He weaponized your traumatic experience against you based on the lies of his wife. I honestly would never have had anything to do with him again, ever at that point. And he certainly doesn't get a forgiveness-free pass because of his wife's mental illness. And then doubling down by comparing you to your ex. Both are a-holes for insisting you accept their apologies, but your brother is a much, much bigger problem and a-hole than your sister-in-law. Glinda the Witch says, not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law made terrible accusations during a time when your mental health was questionable. I'm just not sure how an ED and being bipolar are related to her accusations. The fact that your brother wouldn't even give you the benefit of doubt is unacceptable and unforgivable. Brother and sister-in-law claim pregnancy exacerbates her mental health issue, yet choose to get pregnant again. Why would you forgive them and subject yourself to her bad behavior ever again? Do what is best for you and your children. My parents have been divorced since I, 16 male, was a baby. The divorce was pretty high conflict, and they have never been the kind of people who stayed in each other's lives outside of me. I've been told repeatedly there was no cheating, but my mom has admitted to me in recent years that she did not like how my dad treated her at the end of their marriage. But she said that did not mean it needed to come between me and him. It just meant she would never be capable of being friends with him or forming a makeshift wider family with all of us. My dad got married for the second time when I was like 5. His wife and him have had an awkward relationship. They're sort of open, but in the past were also kind of on and off. So they have kids with other people and each other from the last 11 years. The dynamic has meant that they don't have a lot. Of us all, I'm the most financially secure because mom has always taken good care of me, and she can afford things my dad can't. We have vacationed every year except for 2020 and 2021. Sometimes we even go twice a year. I've been all over the world with my mom. Dad could never afford a vacation. I also get new clothes whenever I need or want something new, while they have to share a lot of hand-me-downs and thrift store buys. I get more gifts at Christmas every year, and better gifts. They mostly get practical stuff while I get fun stuff. When I turned 16, my mom bought me a nice but second-hand car. None of the others are that age yet, but my dad and his wife won't be able to afford it. So, with vacations, my mom has always asked me where I'd like to go. Normally my first choice has always won out, but not always. But I always go for fun places. This is something Dad pointed out a lot in the last couple of years. He said it was all stuff a lot of kids would like, and I was like, yeah, because Mom gives me input in the decision of where. Dad was like, so you request these places? And I'm like, yeah. Mom and I got back from vacation last week, and when I went to my dad's, he was pissed. He said I am selfish and cruel to request these vacations when I know the other kids would love to go to all these places, and he accused me of intentionally choosing places they will never be able to go, just to be a jerk to them. I said no, but I won't lie about where I want to go to spare their feelings. He said I should, that I should love and care about them enough not to let them miss out like that. I told him it wasn't my problem. Am I the a-hole? Ghost Mode 1013 says, not the a-hole. Honestly, that's his own problem. If he has different kids from within his marriage and outside of it, he should have better prepared to be able to pay for them. It's not your responsibility to actively do something about his inability to do fun things with his kids, or to put off your ability to do things that you want. I'm not sure how old your siblings are, or what your relationship with them is like, but at the end of the day, it's your mother footing the bill, not your dad. Tess178 says, not the a-hole, just because he has a crazy messy life, and I don't know how many kids. Info, how many? Doesn't mean you need to mold your life around them. Do what you want, ignore the actual selfish person, dad, and enjoy life. They are not your responsibility. Cataclysma78 says, Your dad is pulling back a pretty long bow to think that you are that kind of malicious. Choosing which vacation to go on simply to make someone else feel bad? No, I doubt it. Not the a-hole. So, I, 23 female, hate my sisters, 28 female, husband, 32 male. It's been culminating over many years of his infidelity and emotional aggression behavior towards my sister and my nephew. I can't stand him. About 3 months ago, my sister caught him cheating again and decided to leave. She took her son and moved into our mom's, and she's been trying to rebuild her life this entire time. I feel like I should mention, I've been the one made aware of his shortcomings the entire relationship. From the first time he was caught cheating, to his use, to his screaming at my nephew over the computer getting unplugged. All of it. I feel like I've had to become the big little sister, even to the point where when she left him, I was ready to uproot my life and pay for her and my nephew to do anything I could to help. Well, this past Sunday, she dropped the bomb that she's moving back in with him at family brunch. My mom and brother were being supportive, but it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I sobbed. My brother immediately jumped in saying, "You've never been in a relationship, so you don't get to have an opinion," and my mom calling me selfish. It boiled down to me saying that she can do whatever she wants, and I don't want to hear about it when he inevitably ducks up again, and I also will not be at any family function where he is present. It may seem extreme, but I feel like I need to draw a line, cause I cannot stand the constant back and forth anymore. However, my whole family is icing me out now, saying if I want to try to isolate my sister, I'll end up being the one isolated because she has a baby. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? OP is entitled to her opinion, but at this juncture, her sister has made her decision, so OP needs to keep her opinions to herself. I would use this time to reflect on my life and recover, and save the money I've been contributing to my sister. As soon as OP can, find a suitable place to move into and get away from her mother and brother. OP doesn't deserve their scorn. I know this is hard, and not what OP would like to hear, I guess. Let's see what the community says. UWoo60 says, "Not the a-hole. It's difficult to watch the train wreck. You've been supportive like a good sister, and it is mentally draining. You cannot save her. Only she can save herself. But you can save yourself." Numbers Guy 22 says, "OP, you cannot help her. No one can. Your family members are choosing to let her be, although they are aware of the situation. The best suggestion is likely just taking a break from your family and all of the drama that is coming with it. Focus on your mental health. Not worry about what's going on, since there's no helping anyone at this point in time. And consider enjoying the positive things in life, since you've had to manage dealing with so much negativity for so long. When you spend so much energy focusing on others, people forget to get replenished with positive energy." MLS Sack says, "Not the a-hole. I can understand why you were sobbing. It's a really bad situation for everyone, and I hate that your sister is going back. You have every right to draw this boundary.